Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Let's Warp Off with Kevin. And if you don't like it, you can go warp yourself. My name is Kevin, and today we'll be talking about the Star Trek Voyager episode, Author. It is the 19th episode of the season 7. The story was by Brannon Braga. It was directed by David Livingston, and the teleplay was by Phyllis Strong and Mike Sussman. Starting off, this is a fantastic episode. The Doctor / Emergency Medical Hologram, EMH for short, is probably my favorite Star Trek Voyager character. So I'm a big fan of pretty much all of his episodes. And this is definitely a huge highlight, I think, of even the whole series. In the episode, we find out the Doctor has written a holo novel called Photons Be Free, in which it's sort of a very fictionalized, over-exaggerated version of his experiences on the Starship Voyager. And there's a lot of like funny little name changes and things here and there, and like again, it's not Starship Voyager, it's a Starship Vortex. And instead of, Lieutenant Tom Paris, it is Lieutenant Marseille. And in this version happens to have a mustache, just like I happen to have right now. And so again, like there's a lot of fun little alterations. Again, Captain Janeway is Captain Jenkins, and when Tom Paris, is first trying it out, we see him, having the situation of, oh, who do I save? Which patient should I save? And Captain Jenkins / Janeway comes in. Essentially, it's like, you have to treat, my helmsman or whatever, or else. And then he goes, no, I won't do it. And then she goes and she, shoots, this dying patient that's about to die. And it's just so, what is going on? It is so, shocking and funny and weird. It's a great, wonderful little scene. It's super entertaining. A lot of entertaining little details. You'll see Captain Janeway Jenkins' room has all these, antique firearms in the background. And, so it's basically showing that she's a warrior or something. And the Doc's mobile emitter is obviously a big, heavy device that must be worn like a backpack. Whereas in real life, the mobile emitter, again, is a short, little tiny device on his, right arm or so, right or left arm. And also, so little things like that really make it pretty great. And then, of course, his friends sort of confront him about it. And the Doctor's, argument essentially is, the person and events in the hologram, are fictitious, and any similarity to actual persons is purely coincidental, which is all fine and good. But, their sort of argument is, well, the audiences will certainly assume the elements of truth were key in, the writer, the Doctor's motivation, which brings up some interesting points about the responsibilities of, author making commentary. And it's interesting because they talk about, Janeway and the crew have a meeting and they kind of talk to him, and he's sort of saying, I write what I know, and, it's that's sort of an interesting problem because, you kind of wonder, how much does he feel like he's sort of being maybe oppressed by the crew or not, and he later is admitting that, well, he's writing this for his fellow EMH Mark 1s, his brothers in the Alpha Quadrant who are banished to a menial existence because of their design flaws. So, which is a callback to previous episodes such as Lifeline and Flesh and Blood. So nice little small bit of continuity there, which I appreciate. Any small bits of continuity, I'll take it, honestly, especially with Voyager. And of course, we see the Doctor go back to his holodeck program, and he finds out it's been completely revised and taken over with Tom Paris instead of him. And I like how Tom Paris goes in and he's sort of a mockery, kind of making fun of it. Really great scene. Really love that a lot. Chapter 1, it's the Doctor's world, you're just living in it. And just so exaggerated. It's from Tom Paris's perspective as being his medical assistant. And you see the Doctor's version of this character, and he's very, super angry, super, just very detail-oriented. When I say, come at this time, not, 800, I don't mean 824 seconds. Is that clear, Ensign? And he has, a comb over and everything, and he's treating, 7 and 9, but he's kind of, hitting on her in this version. And, of course, once the Doctor sees his version of himself, he gets, very angry, And he goes, Tom, he's like, is that, how you see me? Like, and Tom goes back, don't be ridiculous. The character's not you, which is funny precisely because it's so absurd and kind of proves the point. And then, so after that, the Doctor decides to, okay, I'm going to, and having spoken with Neelix a bit too, he's like, okay, I'm going to try and change some of these events a little bit. That way I'm not hurting, my friends' feelings. I still get to publish my work at the same time, ostensibly. But then he asks the publisher to try and hold off the story because essentially like hold off a bit till I need to make some revisions because earlier, I forgot to mention, they've been getting transmissions from the Alpha Quadrant, and some of the crew members actually been speaking to little members of their family. The Doctor doesn't really have any family members aside from Dr. Louis Zimmerman, his creator, so he's been in contact with this publisher back on Earth for his Hollow novel. And so again, forgot to mention that earlier, apologize about that. And so basically he's like, well, don't publish it just yet, I need to make some revisions first. But it turns out basically that the publisher didn't listen, and he basically put it out anyway, and it's become this big, huge, very successful Hollow novel, and the Doctor has tried to say, well, no, I need to, you can't do this, and the bullying publisher basically goes, well, I can do whatever I want, essentially because holograms have no rights. So now we get to the portion of this episode which is a lot like TNG's kind of Measure of a Man, which is, again, a really great episode that I love. And it's a little derivative of that, but, it features sensible arguments, there's a story every bit as well, and it's great. So the hearing service is the first step for hologram rights, and it shows giving the Doctor the rights as an artist with control over his work. But it's also, real-world plausible, but not going further than that, I would say, because the Arbiter acknowledges the rights of the holograms is an issue that must be examined further, and not decided based on this one case. Which sounds very realistic to me. I really liked that part immediately. But they basically prove that saying, okay, the E-Mage is a very complex, different program that can do a lot of things. So they don't rule that all holograms have rights, but this EMH, this hologram in particular is special, and therefore he has rights. So you cannot publish his work, and do whatever you want with it. So I really, again, enjoyed that a bit. And also the final scene, too, which takes place a few months later. We see dozens of identical EMH Mark 1s working in a mine. One of them suggests that in his spare time he take a look at an interesting program called Photons Be Free. And you kind of get a sense that maybe a revolution's going to start up, and maybe they're going to, really, maybe rebel or something. It alludes to a lot of nice things. So again, I give this episode very high marks. I would say at the very least 4 out of 5. Smiling Kevins. Definitely a great highlight, one of the highlights of Voyager, I think. A fantastic Doctor episode. And also, I think, too, this episode should have been the second to last episode of the series, instead of the one we got, which is Renaissance Man, which is another Doctor episode, but it feels very standalone-ish, and feel like it could have been placed anywhere. This one, I feel like, has a lot of nice little bits of continuity, talking to the Alpha Quadrant, and getting his rights, which is something that he's always been wanting for the entire series. So I think this would have been a great second to last episode. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. And the reason also why I have this mustache a little bit as well as my last day is because I was doing No Shave Movember, which is sort of bringing sort of awareness and doing research to sort of men's health issues, such as sort of, prostate cancer, I think testicular cancer, things like that as well. So again, if you haven't donated already, go on the site and donate some money. I have a personal Facebook page for that as well. But also you can just donate to the site. I'll try to put a link in the details for that as well if you'd like to. And yeah, so again, thank you all so much for listening to my little thoughts and feelings on this great episode. And I will see you all again next time. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.